Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something really interesting. We are taking Google's glowing day one launch promises for the Pixel 10 and absolutely crash testing them against a gritty 6-month reality check. We're going way beyond the initial spec sheets to see what actually happens when the Pixel 10 goes head-to-head with the iPhone 17 Pro in the pockets of a power user for half a year.
Now, we all know the marketing claims sound incredible when they're being announced on a beautifully lit stage, right? But today, we're asking the single most important question. Does all this AI hype actually hold up when the phone is sitting in your pocket every single day? Does it genuinely make your life easier, or is it just something that looks good on a billboard?
So, here's our roadmap for today's Explainer. We'll start with the Pixel 10 promise, look at the global launch and pricing, and then dive into 6 months later covering both the good and the bad, before wrapping up with the final verdict. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Pixel 10 Promise. Google's most helpful phone yet.
Okay, so the engine powering all of Google's massive promises, it's the brand new Tensor G5 chip. And Google didn't just build this thing in a vacuum. It was actually co-designed with their DeepMind team. The huge promise here is all about performance. This chip is built specifically to handle complex generative AI right on the phone itself, meaning it runs the Gemini Nano model entirely on device. Bottom line, faster processing without constantly needing a cloud connection.
And all that raw power brings a huge software payoff. Google promised 9 major AI features designed to literally automate your day. We're talking about really cool tools like Magic Queue, which proactively anticipates what information you need, and Voice Translate, offering real-time translation right in the middle of a phone call. They even threw in a full year of their premium Google AI Pro subscription just to sweeten the whole deal.
Moving on to Section 2, Global Launch and Pricing, taking the Pixel to the world.
You know, the sheer scale of this rollout was honestly massive. The Pixel 10 series officially launched with pre-orders going live in 33 countries. Just for a bit of context, that is a big expansion from previous years, and they notably added Mexico to the roster for the very first time. It really shows Google's serious intent to grab a bigger slice of the global market share.
To give you the full picture, let's talk numbers. The baseline Pixel 10 starts at $799 in the US, and that scales all the way up to $1,199 for the Pro XL. But keep in mind, while those standard models hit all 33 countries, that massive $1,799 Pixel 10 Pro Fold saw a much more limited release. It was restricted to just 21 major markets.
All right, Section 3. 6 months later, the good. The daily driver experiment.
To truly understand how these devices age, the reviewer at Isle Gaming did something a little crazy. He carried both the Pixel 10 Pro and the iPhone 17 Pro with him every single day. He loaded up 2 SIM cards, meaning both phones were constantly in use. The goal here is simple, but it's absolutely crucial. Standard 2-week reviews completely miss those tiny compounding details of friction or delight that only happen over months of real-world use.
So when it comes to the actual physical hardware feel, the Pixel 10 Pro totally won the reviewer over. Aurora noted that the Pixel has this exceptional weight distribution and grip texture, even comparing the feeling of holding it to wearing a luxury watch. By contrast, while the iPhone 17 Pro is obviously super well built, it felt just a bit, well, flagship generic. The Pixel really had a distinct, premium tactile identity.
Now cameras. This is where we see a massive split verdict. If selfies and social media talking heads your priority, the Pixel is for sure your winner. The front camera keeps this gorgeous texture and detail without that smooth, sort of plastic-looking AI processing you sometimes see. But spin those phones around and the iPhone absolutely dominates the rear camera battle. Its dynamic range, color consistency, and especially its ability to shoot ProRes 4K video give it a huge edge for anyone taking mobile videography seriously.
And we've got to give Google its due credit here. Those day one AI promises, a lot of them actually deliver. The reviewer found that Google's AI suite, things like Call Screen, Live Translate, Magic Eraser, and Best Take, feels incredibly embedded into the operating system. You actually find yourself reaching for these features in everyday life. Side by side, it genuinely outpaces the more conservative Apple Intelligence. Oh, and the Android swipe keyboard? Once that muscle memory locks in, it simply gives you way faster typing speeds.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Section 4, 6 months later, the bad, the frustrations that add up.
Picture this, having to manually adjust your screen brightness every single night for 6 months straight. Yeah. In low-light environments, the Pixel consistently pulled the brightness down way lower than what was comfortable.
You would think a phone boasting a powerful AI chip would, learn your preferences after a few nudges, but it didn't. Over 180 days, it never adapted. It's a tiny detail, sure, but this daily irritation actually pushed the reviewer to start favoring the iPhone for his nighttime scrolling.
The physical wear and tear also revealed a really fascinating irony. If you're a bit clumsy and drop your phone, the Pixel's frame is far tougher. It survived months of caseless drops with 0 frame dents. The iPhone 17 Pro, however, easily picked up dents on its frame. But flip the script to the glass screen. The iPhone screen resists micro-scratches beautifully, just sitting in a pocket, while the Pixel screen picked up visible scratches pretty fast if it was left unprotected.
But arguably the most glaring issue here was basic connectivity. I mean, the absolute baseline of what a smartphone should do, right? Navigating through the typical Wi-Fi dead spots in a house, like down a corridor or around a concrete pillar, the iPhone 17 Pro held a strong, stable signal. The Pixel 10 Pro, it consistently dropped out. When you're midway through a video or trying to send a quick voice note, that unreliable connection goes from being a background spec to a totally front-of-mind frustration really quickly.
Ultimately, it all came down to the gravitational pull of the ecosystem. It's not one big feature, it's a dozen little things. The iPhone offers superior balanced speaker bass. Its passive Face ID unlocks the phone before you even consciously think about it. You get Apple Arcade, and that crisp Taptic engine gives incredibly precise physical feedback. The Pixel 10 Pro, meanwhile, felt a bit clunky trying to answer calls from a locked screen without Face ID. It had a noticeably mushier vibration engine and suffered from what the reviewer called loud, intrusive Android notifications. It just created a friction the iPhone simply didn't have.
Which brings us to Section 5, the final verdict, returning to the walled garden.
So, after 180 days of carrying both of these amazing devices, the reviewer ultimately went back to the iPhone 17 Pro as their primary daily driver. The sheer weight of those compounding ecosystem conveniences, the Wi-Fi reliability, the Face ID, the app stability, it was just too strong to ignore. However, they readily admit that neither tech giant has built the perfect flawless phone yet. The Pixel 10 Pro actually remains in their pocket as a secondary device because its in-hand feel, its durability, and those awesome AI tools genuinely earned it a permanent spot.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to ponder. No matter how incredibly powerful Google's Tensor G5 chip gets, and no matter how brilliant their on-device AI becomes, is a feature list ever truly enough to make you abandon the seamless, invisible convenience of your current tech ecosystem? What matters more to you, the promise of cutting-edge smarts or the guarantee of everyday smoothness? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.